Hello and welcome to I don't think any of us got any sleep stream. That's right. As you guys probably know, there is a new game that came out like late last night for a lot of us, and sadly, a lot of us have been playing said game. I did not go to bed until like 5:30 last night. Woke up at 9 a.m. and yeah, I literally stopped playing just before the stream, and I'm gonna go back to playing right after the stream. That, of course, is Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, which I know that Cloudy and Ash have all been playing and enjoying as well. Yep, there it is.
I'm still playing it.
Wrap this up quick.
Yeah.
Yes, immediately.
So it's like we're gonna try and have a quick, chill stream, and probably avoid going to the 3-hour mark like we usually do.
Hour and a half tops.
Oh my god, we'll have to see. We gotta like speed run through everything, like chugging. So yeah. I'm of course your host, Zio Agito. Joining me today is Ash, who's been missing for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm back. They found my body. I'm okay. But yeah, just had stuff to take care of, like the 2 weeks before, and then last week before was an eventful night. But I'm back now. I'm back now to talk Toku and discuss Toku.
Now the thing is, since you were missing from last week, I gotta ask you real fast, what are your thoughts on the FI's 20th anniversary announcement that we got last week?
I haven't seen Fires, but I've heard a lot of hype around it. I've never seen. It's on the list. It's on the list.
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
I've got to watch it. I've got to watch it. I've heard nothing but good things.
All right. And then resident seat filler, Cloudy, is here this evening. Cloudy, how are you?
Pretty good. Very good. Yes.
I know, obviously, since you're using a VTuber model, we can't see that you're currently playing Zelda, but we know that you are currently playing Zelda.
Well, if I raise the volume on my Switch, you could probably hear it a bit. I'm just trying.
And we'll get instantly struck by Nintendo Soji.
Exactly. I've tried also to avoid spoilers, so please, no one say anything. So thank you.
Yeah, you spoil this. I will find out where you live, and I will break your shins. I will break your
I will
shins.
eat you in some way, shape, or form.
I may not get along with Alien Kuga, but he is coming to that house.
We're gonna hire Kevin Mattel, and he's coming.
Kevin and Hat Guy showing up.
Exactly.
All showing up. Mark's not here tonight. He is currently not by his computer. He did bring his laptop with me, but apparently his laptop sucks to the point that he knows it's probably going to blow up like Nexus's laptop, so he's not even going to try to play that game.
Lies. He's just playing Tears of the Kingdom. We know it.
He could just be playing Tears of the Kingdom, but he hasn't even beaten Breath of the Wild yet. So,
what?
Just all of that going on. All right, so obviously what we got on the docket for tonight, we've got Superhero Time, in which this week was actually a really good week when it comes to our shows, because Geeks had a really good episode. It kind of sucks that Geeks keeps going through a theme of like mid to bad episode followed by a banger of an episode, and then it just like, I need to stop the teeter-tottering over here. Takahashi, Cloudy, I'm sorry about your hand, but Takahashi out here, like, he needs to find a proper like stride when it comes to this show.
So. No, I agree with you. I can sacrifice the hand for this one. He needs to work on it.
And then King Ojer ending another arc. It feels like they're doing 5-episode arcs now, but the way that this ended, I had a lot of people in my comment section going that this felt like a series finale in the way that it played out. Like it was just that good.
It was good.
So yeah, we got a lot going on there. Then, of course, we've got the first quarter numbers for King Ojer toy sales to review, since we do love talking them toy sales numbers, as well as Geeks' second quarter toy sales numbers. And for some reason, I noticed this when I was working on the thumbnail earlier today, you know, in like the 2 hours that I was actually pried away from Zelda, actually doing stuff. Is the last time we were talking toys, I also had Black Sun in the thumbnail. So I'm just like, I guess every time I'm talking toys, I gotta throw Black Sun in there. So since Black Sun has now gotten a little past the 6-month mark, we're gonna talk a little bit about it, seeing if it was worth the hype, worth the buildup, and how we're feeling about it 6 months later in terms of that. So that is pretty much the quota for today. But first, I'm going to put out a quick PSA before I post this on the community tab. So the thing is, we know that Down Brothers versus Zenkaiger's probably going to end up getting dropped and subbed in June. When I do a review for that,
Really?
yes,
Yeah.
when they do these crossovers. So in preparation for that, I want to obviously bring back the reoccurring Meanwhile Sononi bit. However, I want community participation. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put up a post in the community tab probably tomorrow, but y'all that are here in the chat right now can go ahead and get the leg up on it. I want your best Meanwhile Sononi in terms of video skit, chugging that aggressive water. Just for an example, Meanwhile Sononi. Okay. I need like your best Meanwhile Sononi bit. Not those kinds of bits, but you know what I'm talking about. And then send that to my email, zioagito@gmail.com. My birthday is coming up in 2 weeks, so all the submissions that we have up until then, I'm going to do a birthday live stream, and I'm going to do a live reaction to everybody's Meanwhile Sononis. And then for my Down Brothers versus Zenkaiger review, all of those will be included in one major Meanwhile Sononi bit. So, just putting that out there for anybody who wants to participate in what could very well be the final Meanwhile Sononi. Go ahead and get those skits and ideas ready. So,
Pour one out for the boys.
Yep. We got to go in with a major skit on that one. So yeah, I already told some people on Discord about this. I already was given a few ideas, and I added onto it because I just keep thinking of bits on the top of my head on what people could do. So yeah. But will it revive Space Vies? You gotta pray harder than that to revive Space Vies. There is a bit that I'm planning on when it comes to Space Vies, but it's not what you think. It's definitely not what you think. So yeah, got a lot of things cooking up, but it's not food for stamina potions over in Tears of the Kingdom. So let's move on to proper superhero time.
Superhero time starts now.
Okay, so this week we got a really good episode of Geeks, which of course came out a week earlier. So some of us kind of got the leg up on it. Now, of course, I did do a review for it well ahead of time. And Ash, did you watch the Raw like the week ahead?
No, I'm terrible with Raw. It's like I don't want to pretend. Like I'm terrible with Raw. It's like I can pretend I understand what's going on, but I prefer the subs, so I actually understand.
Look, I went around doing like voice to text translation
Yeah,
on my phone. Yeah, that was a chore and a half. Also, Mark's in the chat. Look, Mark, if you think you can possibly make it, you just gotta let me know, and I'll send you the link. But you just said that you couldn't make it, so unless you see, there it is. He has no PC until Tuesday. Damn, got him. Well, you know what that means. He's gonna film his reviews using his smartphone, and they're gonna be completely ass quality. So you look forward to those premium Nerd Named Mark reviews coming out on Monday. Mark your calendars. Monday is when those are coming out.
Monday.
All right. So the thing is, the screenshots that I got are actually from that Raw because I didn't feel like re-ripping everything that I already did before. So of course they were smaller quality, so I've got to zoom in on every single one for this version of the recap. But of course, we've got Ace coming back, and the first thing he does is set his sights at Chiram because of course he would. It's Chiram. Nobody likes Chiram. Everybody was waiting for this man to get iced. It finally happened this episode. But of course, Ace is the one pointing the Glock at him, ready to have him count his sins. But of course, that's when Buffa is confused regarding the entire thing. How he came back, he doesn't know. But he's just here to take down the DGP because he's got to take care of Mama Dearest. So, of course, There was a whole fight scene. I don't have the screenshots from the fight because that was all a Galaxy Blade bit. So here is Suru with no body, just floating out there, which was an interesting thing when I saw it. And yeah, it kind of leads into some theories that I've got going around on who this guy could possibly be. But of course, he goes ahead and starts a new round of the Desire Royale. The purpose of this game is essentially, which side do you choose? Should the DGP no longer be a thing, or should the DGP remain? And of course, throughout this episode, we get to see the paths that several people end up taking, including Kawa and Neon, while Ace and Ozma choose the other path. So it's a whole different thing entirely when it comes to that. Of course, we got the Vision Driver getting snatched up by, honestly, the first time I saw this, I was confused. I thought it was Time Daddy. I was like, shit's about to go down. Sadly, it was not. It was Kakera. So, goes to visit Beruba and pretty much is just being down and dirty. He wants to show her a new style of misery. What's the new style of misery? Well, first, we got to get Kawa back into the game. And with his a new Vision Driver and her Vision Driver, they can just make that happen. It's nice to know that all you need is really just the two Vision Drivers. You don't even have to play a game, and you can just spam wishes. It makes me wonder whether or not like Sueru or like any of these other like producers, game masters might have already gotten their fill on wishes before, you know, going to take the route on the game. I would think that that's what they did, but yeah, that's pretty much what they're insinuating here, even though, you know, they spent a whole episode re-emphasizing on the whole life energy of people like being used to grant wishes. But I guess that kind of means nothing if you've got two Vision Drivers. You can just spew wishes, or she's just got a reservoir of bodies in there. I don't know. But yeah, essentially he sets up this entire plot just to get Kekera back. And of course, that leads us to Sarah. Sarah is finally in the game again and being relevant. This time, having bad dreams about Kawa coming back. But it's not really a dream. It's a frog, because it's Kekera here with a way to bring Kawa back. All she's got to do is listen to what he's got to say, essentially becoming a writer at that portion. And with that, Kawa's back. No memories. He's just revived back like he lost a DGP, but he's there and he doesn't even know who that frog is. But of course, Kekera's got other plans and just pretty much guaranteeing Sarah that if she just goes ahead and competes in the DGP, or rather the Desire Royale, then Kawa's going to be fine, because if he just thinks about the game again, he's just going to be fighting for world peace again. And what's the point in all that? So now we go into Neon's side of the story, going over to Kyun. Even though Kyun's like, why are you even competing in this? You know you're going to get bodied instantly. And she's like, well, you know, thanks for the support anyway. And then he's like, why are you even trying to make a wish for true love? True love doesn't even exist in this world. She's like, look, bro, that's not even what I'm trying to wish for anymore. Like, I just don't want anybody to remember who I am. I want to be a nobody in this world, and that is my wish. Like, and you're not going to be sad about that? Well, nah. She didn't even exist to begin with.
It's true.
So now we get some brother-sister time with Ace and Suburi, because of course Ace has a little bit of an inkling that maybe Suburi might have something to do with his coming back, but she says nah, it wasn't her, but she did make a wish anyway. But she's caught up in the moment regarding how she feels about the DGP, because it's been so tumultuous for her, especially given the fact that she's only getting less than 30 seconds of airtime for like the last 4 weeks plus. So, of course, she's got to fight back and now be a relevant character again. Maybe if she did the side ponytail yet again, they'd elevate her back up. But for now, nope, back down. Sueru shares a nice intimate moment with the goddess of creation. Kind of, I don't know. I got vibes from this scene. Even though it was a very short scene, I got vibes from this scene just because of the fact that he's like, we're going to share this moment and watching all of their misery during this fight play out. So I'm just like, there's there's got to be more here than just a one-off like commentary when it comes to things. Of course, Sarah goes ahead and joins the game, meets Neon in the process, but also meets Daichi in the process as well. And of course, having that nice introduction with him, only to find out that Daichi is a complete dick and is just ready to body all of the ladies. Like, damn. And of course, while Keiwa is watching all of this because Kikera made him watch this stuff, he gets the entire motivation to join the game as well, to save his sister. So he's back in it, and Kekera and Beroba are definitely enjoying the sights of them seeing Keiwa just possibly have a heel turn of an entire character arc here. Of course, after all the fighting is done with Azuma, then we start finding out really that both Neon and Keiwa are siding with the DGP. The DGP should stay, while Ace does not think so. Keiwa thinks that it's really the goddess of creation needs to pay for her sins, for all the people that she's technically taking care of. And Ace says that it's not her fault, and he's going to prove her innocence. So that is this week's episode of Geeks in a nutshell. Really, really good episode. A lot to really digest when it comes to the amount of storytelling that they threw in here. My biggest issue with it is like they should have sprinkled in bits of this in the episode before this one, as opposed to making it drag the way that it did, because that is the storytelling issues that we run into with Geeks now. Is we get a really good episode followed by a lower tier episode that's just coasting, and then a really good episode. It's just a constant back and forth when it comes to this. But this does set up a lot of interesting arcs, especially Keiwa seemingly appearing to now be possibly a thorn on Ace's side, possibly somewhat of an anti-hero villain from the perspective of us, the viewers, just completely not allowing Ace to get his victory because he just sees something innately wrong with the whole goddess of creation portion of it. So, Ash, what did you think about this week's episode?
It was all right. I enjoyed it. It's cool seeing Sarah become a writer, but you wonder how long is she going to last, because she's just there for, like, she's probably going to get saved by Keiwa, and I'm guessing her being in danger will lead to Keiwa's next power-up in the show. That's probably what it's leading into. But seeing Keiwa go through this arc is like, I am enjoying it, because people in the chat are saying Dark Keiwa, he's becoming an anti-hero, which it's cool to see Keiwa actually have some like light shed on him with all the situation, because he's been happy, positive, and now he's seeing like the ups and downs of the world, and he's actually got a motivation moving forward, which is getting rid of the goddess. So I'm wondering if him and Ace are going to have an actual fight like near the finale, or they will clash again like they did back in episode 16, like a proper fight, as their ideals are going to clash and they're probably going to go all out. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode. The story is going up and down with what it's trying to do, but I feel like that's because we've only got probably like 12 episodes left. No, not 14 episodes left at this point.
Yeah, more or less. We are well past the halfway point now. So yeah, we've got at max like another maybe 18 episodes.
Yeah. So it does feel like
actually no, we got another 16 episodes. What am I thinking? Tears of the Kingdom. That's what I'm thinking.
On everyone's mind.
So
yeah.
Now the thing is, it's like now that we have some Sueru action, do you have any theories, any speculations when it comes to Sueru, Ash?
I get the feeling she's probably going to be like another goddess of desire near the end, because I remember was episode.
Oh, you're Sumiri. You're thinking Sumiri. I said Sueru, the guy in the mask that looks like Koji.
Oh, the guy in the mask. Sorry. No idea who he is. It might be. It's not the movie character. I never finished the movie.
The movie guy was a retired game master. That's who that was.
All right. Like no idea who this is. Like to be honest.
I think
No
there's
theories?
a potential that it might be either a future incarnation of Ace, and the goddess of creation might also be like a future incarnation of Sumidi. Like they might be in a weird like nonstop circle of like of the way
Repeating
that this
this.
game is playing. Yes. Like it's a weird thing, but it's not like it hasn't been done before in storytelling, so it's completely possible that it could be a whole thing in terms of repeating events and all that.
Mhm.
So, Cloudy, what did you think about this week's episode?
Very good. I'm like very positive on what's it called. I'm liking where we're going. There's a lot more lore being added to the mix. I like the idea that what's it called? Kekara is using more of the misery aspect to like motivate Kawa into the person he wants Kawa to be along the lines. Like he's trying to mold his own like DGB contestant, which I'm enjoying very much. So I'm hoping maybe Sarah will become more useful, or if not, she's just gonna be a tool for Kawa's power up. Obviously, whether she's sacrificed or not. Um, and I think the thing that you're constantly hinting at is Subaru is probably other version Geeks, maybe, potentially, which will be interesting if that's the case. Because I'm just saying, he looked at his mom very weird in that episode. If that's the case, he looked at his mom very weird. I'm like, I just we saw an. I don't know if we're allowed to. Okay, can we talk about the trailer for next week or no?
Yeah, we can. I mean, it's free game. It's just a
out there.
trailer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just curious because I was thinking like that poll is hilarious because if Sarah dies, Kay will have literally no family. So goddamn. But
That's how you break a man. That's
That
how
is
you
true.
see someone's
Mhm.
worldview end.
and that is true. But I was thinking what was my train of thought? Because of next week, we see Buffa fighting Mr. Jamato Farmer, right? Jamato Gardener. So obviously, that's probably where we're gonna get the sign that hey, you can't beat him as a rider. So Jamato are the only ones that can beat him. So I assume that's why it's there, at least for next week, because right now he's too OP. But overall, I just want to ask, like, who do you guys think is gonna be the final climactic fight between the two? Because I don't think it's gonna be the Riders v Subaru. At least if that's the case, that'll be after. But the fight before then, like between the Riders themselves, who do you guys think is gonna be the final two showdown?
It's probably gonna be Ace and Kawa.
I'm hoping. I would like
The
to.
thing is, like the show did too much to set up Kawa as an important character, and sadly, they failed on multiple accounts. And I think they're trying to get back up to that status now, probably like breakneck speed when it comes to a lot of that stuff. But I do feel that it's probably gonna be like a similar thing to like what we got in Kabuto, where Kagame got too arrogant after he got the powers, and then like tried to knock Tendo down a peg, that type of thing. And since they love trying to like ship Geats as a Kabuto 2.0 in terms of their character dynamic, I'm just like, it might play out in a similar vein, but of course, Kawagami had a better character arc than Kawa had, and that's facts. So
True, Gaim v Baron was pretty epic. That was like from the beginning that was built up. So I don't think it's gonna touch that level of pretty good. But overall, I was just curious because this is the last bit, but we are very close to the point where Kay was gonna have to get his power up, right? His final form, because we're entering late 30s, well, mid to late 30s. So it's coming up. It's gotta happen at some point. So are you thinking they're gonna do the classic, Common Rider thing, at least like from the early Heisei seasons, where final form last episode or second to last episode debut, or like for Geats, or do you think we're just gonna get a quick final form like right after Kawa gets his?
I think Kay was gonna get his, and then like 2 episodes later, Ace is gonna get his final form. I think if anything, this is probably gonna end up being another 2-episode arc. So if anything, probably this is episode what, 32?
34.
34. So 36 would be probably where Kawa gets his upgrade, and 38 will be when Ace gets his.
Okay, gotcha.
That's my current prediction when it comes to that.
I hope so. But I guess we'll never know. Sorry. Go ahead, Ash, or anyone if they had anything to add. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think it's going to be Kawa and Ace as well, because Buffer's had his arc, he got his wish, so he's probably going to get knocked out in the end, like what everyone's been saying, like only a Jamato can injure him, so that's probably going to happen. But I get the feeling they are teasing Ace versus Kawa in the show.
Kind of
Nope,
heavily nowadays when it comes to that. So we'll see. So
Hmm.
First thing, we got some poll results. So I did ask the audience if they wanted Kawa to become an anti-hero. We got 87% voting yes. But then the follow-up to that is, do you think Sarah will die? Because really, it's this episode at least, it kind of made it seem like Kekera and to a greater extent, Beroba were just trying to literally have Sarah join the game just so her loss would drive like Kawa off the deep end. Like that's literally what it seems to be. Like, man, y'all let this girl be a side character, like a background character for 30-something episodes. Y'all finally make her a writer just to beat her up. Who are you, Inoue? Like, what is this? Like,
And
Takahashi's starting to, get into his bag. Maybe he's starting to pull something out.
And Kekara did say he wants to sort of make Kawa what he thinks to be an ideal writer is. So I guess going for that hero arc where he experience great loss and then become a hero, that might be like his idea of like what he views as a good writer, or his ideal writer going through that sort of that experience, like the ups and the downs, and then sort of becoming a hero in his own right by going through that loss.
Yeah, he did express that humans in themselves typically evolve better from great tragedy. And what greater tragedy would Kawa have? Like, he's already lost his parents, but he was too young to remember it. Throw in the sister in there, and that's it.
That's everyone.
Them's the sheets. That's it.
That's everyone. He's done.
So yeah, he's gonna probably completely snap, completely forget his worldview, start getting a warped, twisted sense of warped view, and then it's gonna be like everyone else possibly trying to save him, or it could be like an asshole of a save, and then classic Takahashi. But that's a thing.
Let's not, please. No.
All right. So if Sarah dies, the chat willed it into existence because we got 66% with yes.
Damn, Kay was going to be really mad at you, chat.
Sarah will die. Lock it in. Lock it in. She's done. She is done. Completely done with that one. Honestly, the other real big thing that I had for this episode really was the whole Sueru aspect, especially given the fact that when he was in the actual world of reality, he had no physical form. He was just a floating like suit, and that was it. He only had a form in the entire DGP like housing ground, which makes me think that he's like either completely not from this world in that metaphysical sense. Other people were speculating that that's possibly how future people actually look, that they've just evolved past the point of actually needing a physical body, which of course is a common trope when they have people from the far, far distant future, that's what they evolved to, is a beings of pure energy, that type of thing. And of course, given the fact that Sueru was able to make the Desire Royale by himself without the need of a vision driver at all. It literally just spawned right out of his navel, like just out of there with no vision driver, even though he is the voice of the vision driver. I'm just like, this guy's like the mainframe. He's the whole fucking thing running this show. It doesn't even matter whether or not you have the vision drivers. They're pretty much an extension of him, probably powered by him in a way. And he doesn't really care, which is probably why he hasn't interfered with the games before, even when Betterball took over, because he's just like, look, I already know how this is all going to play out. So it's whatever, because I already lived through it. So
How good do you think of an executive writer form we're getting for this guy?
I'm hoping we don't.
Oh my god.
I'm tired of like final boss writers. I'm just
It's
completely
been that
done
way
with-
for all of Reiwa.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I'm completely done. Like, luckily we didn't get Kamen Rider Gifu, but we still ended Revice with a
Revice,
writer.
Revice, Revice.
Yeah, a writer on writer action, and that's it.
Mm.
But I'm honestly just tired of a common writer villain for these shows. Like, it's gotten too played out.
True.
So just give me an actual monster. Give me an actual being that's not gonna do crappy CG tentacle attacks. Please. I don't need crappy tentacle like CG attacks.
Well, what about good tentacle CG attacks?
Well, speaking of good tentacle CG attacks, King Odra this week, because Gira definitely got the tentacles going down on him this week. So, of course, this week's King Ojer starts off with a little bit of foreshadowing to the roll call that we get in this episode with the legend of the original kings. And in terms of like how they like still had their differences, didn't really want to work together, but knew what had to be done, that kind of thing. Which was a really good setup when it comes to things going on in this episode. But of course, because of the events the previous episode and Gira getting caught by the Norack, the retainers of Enkasopa, Ishibana, and Tofu all got bodied except for Morphonia of Gokon. So here's one for Morphonia. All right. No, like, this episode was honestly like, this is how you do an episode that technically was kind of all right the previous week, with it just focusing on the retainers, and managed to seed plant that into a perfectly executed emotional roller coaster of an episode this week. Because having those characters definitely come out of the woodwork, taking in Gira's words to heart, and actually seeing like everybody's reactions to them going down, like, was just a great time in general. So of course, Sebastian's down for the count. Raculus goes ahead and jumps on in and is just like, look, just because of y'all getting bodied and all that, it's the time for treaties is over. Just surrender your mechs. We'll let King Odra do this shit, and we got it. AKA, I got it. And that's pretty much the Raculus PSA of the day. Like, surrender your countries, and I got it from here, or don't, and then whatever. But then, of course, once we get King Ojer, then I'm just going to save everybody one by one, and it's going to be priority status. And, you know, it's just the way that it works. And, of course, you know, when it comes to priority status and it's Raculus, you know which country is going to be the least prioritized. So Yama's not getting any of that support. He already knows it. There's the tentacles I was talking about. So
them good tentacles.
Yep. So Gira out here getting that JAV treatment over here by the
Oh my god, no.
Over here, we got Deathrack, the 8th, out here just busting whip on Gira. Now, the thing is, it's funny because Kamajim is just adamant that they just go ahead and kill Gira. But Deathrack is like, nah, I'm just going to beat him up a little bit and see if I can just turn him over to my side. And that's the way that we're going to do this shit. But, of course, doesn't really play out that way. Because the thing is, he's had plans. Those cocoons that they threw out several episodes back were still there. Everyone forgot. Everyone forgot they were there. Nah, they got roots now. And Shogadam had a second one underneath there. So they got cocoons for everybody. Everybody getting a cocoon this week. Obligatory.
You get a cocoon. You get a cocoon. Everyone gets a cocoon.
Yep, of course, Yanma's dealing with it his own way, which my man just out here
Drinking
shut drinks. I'm surprised they haven't done an Ordnance C commercial with Yanma Gust yet. Like, that needs to be a thing already.
Who says that it's not?
Is there a thing?
It could be in
did
the
I-
works.
Did I miss? Okay, I was about to say, like, if there was a commercial that I missed out on, then I need to get that commercial in. Like, I need to
Honestly,
see.
with this shot, you could probably make the commercial a little Photoshop on that bottle.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way to work. It's the way to work. All right, so everybody's obviously all up in their fields. Rita's all up in their fields. Yama's all up in their fields. Himeno's up in their fields. The Boski's up in something.
Oh my god.
But yeah, here comes like all the peak emotional aspects, because of course each individual retainer in themselves finally takes the words Gira said the previous episode to heart and actually try to knock some sense into each and every single one of them, and just saying that you don't have to shoulder the burden alone. Like, that's what we exist for, and your country can't bear to lose you as well. Like, the amount of acting that these guys did, Yama Gus, like, this guy's actor is like my favorite out of this show by far. The acting chops this guy has throughout this entire series, from the comedy aspect to the emotional standpoint, all that stuff, amazing 10 out of 10. Like, great. Like, I cannot praise this guy enough. But we just get all of these emotional payloads from all of the retainers. Like, you get Sebastian out there, you get what's his name, Shirokata, what's his name, I forget what the name of this retainer was.
Kagi something. I know what Shadow Kagi.
Kage out.
Whatever. But either way, he plays into the Boski's entire like sneaky ways of like, look, you got to do whatever conniving means you need to in order to ensure the safety of Tofu. Like, that's what you need to do. And I'm just like, wow, this man gets his king. And then, of course, probably one of the better scenes out here, just really Morphonia talking through Mofun to Rita, getting that entire like stuffed animal, like imaginary friend vibe, like Morphonia out here just making the works just happen. Good stuff.
Whoa, hold on. Well, sorry to interrupt you, Zio, but someone's saying get Raculus off the screen, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He's peak entertainment right now.
Kuroda was the name of the retainer for the Boski.
Oh.
There it is. All right, so Deathrack goes ahead and takes Gira out so he can go ahead and bear witness to all the cocoons just hatching. Another thing that I found interesting about this scene is that apparently the Bugnarok base is right outside of Shugadam, because they're right outside of it when he emerges. So that's a thing. But yeah, essentially he's trying to sway Gira over to the dark side, and I'm just like, there's more here. There's definitely more here. There's no way like a villain's really trying to just get Gira on his side, and he's not just trying to beat him up. He's legit just trying to show him the proper points to it. So there's all that stuff on here. Of course, we get some really good fighting, not as good as the Gira Raculus fight that we got previously, but still a good fight in a way that we start seeing all of the kings like synergizing with each other with their move sets, and just overall like great moment. Gira coming out with the wings caught me by complete surprise when I first watched this. That was a moment. I was just like, bro got the upgrade. Just straight up upgrade. It was a great ass scene, especially with like the spins and the wire work that they had going on with the fight choreography for this one. So it's great. Best thing about this is like, even though Deathrack has a very large clunky suit, like the fact that they actually got up close and personal to him when it comes to fighting is absolutely what I want to see with a big bad fight. I don't want to see like a lot of the like tentacles, CG attacks being thrown at them. I love seeing the actual suit on suit confrontations like this stuff. AKA, that's why the Geef fights from Revi sucked. So yeah, we get the full-on synergy. We get Himeno and Daboski out here just with the dual attack. And then, of course, we get Yanma and Rita with the sword thrust directly to the pelvis. And, of course, once that's done, he goes ahead and doesn't admit defeat because he knows he's got those cocoons in wait, and they are just popping off. Of course, I got to ask a quick poll of the chat, but question, guys. Think these... they had a menage a bug?
Yeah, they fucking.
Yeah, they fucking.
Yeah,
They're having a bug orgy.
definitely. Have you ever seen
Like
an anthill
this
sale?
is like
that.
like I gotta ask the real questions here. This is why this whole live stream exists. Asking the real questions. Are these bugs doing the nasty? Now that they have all met up, came together as one, and in more ways than one. Yeah. So that's the thing that we got here. We got God Hopper, we got God Kabuto, and we got God Scorpion all here. Of course, weird that Kabuto's in the middle. I think it should be Scorpion in the middle, but hey, look, beggars can't be choosers when it comes to a lot of these aspects. But
Hey, listen, don't kink shame them. They've been around forever.
I could have sworn I saw a message for like a second saying, "And a new legend arose," and I'm just like,
Oh, God, no.
that would have been it. Did you hear about the legend of the menage a bug?
Oh yeah, something definitely was rising there.
Yep. So yeah, we had all that. And now Hopper definitely in the middle. Well, he ends up getting in the middle in one way or another when it comes to like the forms. So yeah, we have all of that. Let's see.
Oh, Fies was there. Oh.
Chat has spoken, and they agree that the bugs did indeed do the nasty.
Well done.
They did it. They did it. All right, so we get a very different kind of roll call, but it's a roll call nonetheless in two different ways. Of course, they're reciting the legends of the kings, which essentially serves as their roll call. But of course, the name of the show is not actually the name of the team because we know that the King Ojer is the mech and not the actual Rangers. So after they say each of the lines of the mythos, they summon the King Ojer right after. So that was indeed a moment in which pretty unconventional for a Sentai team, but of course the name in itself is unconventional in that sense as well. Summoning finally the legendary King Ojer with the greater Shoe Gods all attached in there, and that nice little tapestry behind them reminding me a little bit of Legend of Zelda. So with that, of course, this suit is fucking broken. This mech is broken. Like, in terms of everything, it can travel light speed. Like, just
Around
taking
the planet.
around the entire planet, gathering all of these bug Norack, gathering up in a single spot just to beat their ass. Not only that, but of course, moving so fast to the point that it creates an after image for everybody else in the other nations to still see the fight going on. That's how you know that shit's broken. Not only that, but it can also grow. Like, just grow. And I'm just like, what? It's already big. It can grow even bigger, further beyond? Yes. King Ojer out here just being broken as shit. Just completely broken as shit when it comes to its moveset.
What the heck? Why would they need some? Okay, so like this is clearly really busted, but why? What? You know, there's gonna be more mechs to this. So like, what are they fighting with? They're gonna need that. I'm just saying.
The only thing that I can think of is that the only reason why they would even introduce such a broken mech this early in is that it's going to be broken apart and probably snatched up by the enemies, or at least part of it. So you only see this every now and then.
The only other thing would be like, if this is broken now, what about later when they add 10 more bugs?
The only thing that I can think of is unless they end up making like a giant enemy organization that actually ends up being the origins of all the shoe gods, the proper origins of all the shoe gods. And they're like, oh, that like these are like our kids, like they got it from us, and then they're just like, got them. Space bugs, the final enemies.
Hey, look, there's a moon in the background. It's foreshadowed.
Yep. And of course, after all said and done, Regulus goes ahead and claims victory. He gets all the glory for everything that you've witnessed. All hail King Regulus. Where's Hat Guy?
I got it.
Where's Hat Guy?
Yeah.
Like, where's Hat Guy in all this? Like, what? But of course, Regulus goes ahead, claims all the glory, and no one even bats an eye. Gira goes back into hiding, but that is fundamentally it. That is it, and that's all sales numbers. So yeah, that is this week's King Ojer. Of course, the entire thing is, of course, the Bug Norack aren't done, and of course, we get the little tease that Jeremy, our incoming Spider Kumino, is going to he's actually the narrator, stops narrating and comes out of sleep. So we get all of that coming up next week. So we got the start of a new arc essentially going on next week, but this is really felt like the tail end of another arc. Just like episode 5 felt like the end of a whole arc in itself. This also feels like the end of another arc. So if they keep going in 5 episode arcs, they're cooking. They're doing great.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good way to set it up. Like, if this next arc ends up being another 5 episodes and Jeremy doesn't even transform for like another 3-4 episodes, I am perfectly fine with that. I don't need him transforming right away. Let us get to know the man before we see the suit. That type of thing. So, Ash, how did you feel about this episode of King Ojer?
I liked it. Like, this was a really good episode. Like, this felt like a final, like, the showdown with the big bad. It felt like a final boss showdown with how everyone was getting their attack in. Because he's got, like, such a big clunky suit. Like, he doesn't move that much. But seeing how it went down, like, when Gira did the wing stuff, like, that took me by surprise. I was like, oh, he can do that now. But it looks so cool. And I'm wondering if the others can do it. Which I'm guessing would be, like, sort of their bug wings for the bugs that have wings. That'd be cool to see. But yeah, this episode was great. There's some really good character moments in there with all the retainers, how they had their big speeches with their influence from Gira. Like, I really enjoyed this episode. And like, a lot of people saying this first arc has sort of been like a 10 episode arc, but I'm with you saying like the first, like 5 episodes arc is each episode is sort of like these last 5 episodes has been like the second arc. And I'm curious to see where the show is going to go moving forward, especially with Jeremy showing up next week. So I'm curious to see like how that's going to go down and who's going to narrate the show if Jeremy's like coming out of slumber.
Hat Guy's going to narrate the show.
Yeah,
That's why he left.
He left to get a new suit and a suit and tie. He's going to be tie guy from now on.
No.
So he's just going to show up and then just narrate the show. It's going to be a great time. Cloudy, how did you feel about this episode?
This episode was as perfect as you could probably get for an episode of Sentai this early, I would say. Like, it wrapped a lot of stuff up in this arc. You had a lot of emotional scenes, amazing fight choreography. We got to see the mech complete and just how insane that was. Very good finisher. CG was good this episode. There was nothing particularly off. I would honestly say this show's like really good and really kept up with its stride. I don't know who's writing the show, if anyone knows, but I think they're doing a very good job. But like you said,
I mentioned this before, especially in like the preview for this show. This is done by someone who's never been a head writer before. He was a Takahashi understudy. He's only worked on Takahashi Productions.
Ooh.
And he's only worked on Kamen Rider before this. So he worked on X8 and he worked on 01. He only worked in Takahashi stuff as just a side guy. So he's not, this is his first actual like step up to the plate. You are the head writer role.
Well, he's coming out swinging. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's got something to prove.
Yeah, clearly he's just trying to staple his mark and be like, "This is my show. This is like what I'm capable of." But, like you said, if we're doing 5 episodes arcs, I'm hoping the next 5 episodes are obviously really good, and that would mean that the next arc after that would be episode 16. So, if he's really that good of a writer, let's see how things go.
Yeah, and then of course we gotta factor in that we're gonna get the recap episode sometime in not this upcoming arc, but probably the arc after that one is when we're gonna get the recap episode. Because for those of you that don't know, typically when one show ends, like if the Kamen Rider show ends, the Super Sentai show will have a recap episode, and vice versa. When Sentai ends, the Kamen Rider show will go ahead and do its recap episode then. Since Geeks is going to be ending probably in early August or late July, that's around the time that we're going to get the recap episode for King Ojer play out in that sense. So we'll see how it goes to all that. But yeah, so one of the things about that preview was Jeremy essentially saying that the Bugnarok might not actually be the villains that they think they are, which starts lending a little bit more into some of the foundational pieces that we've been seeing the last few episodes. For one, Deathrack, kind of telling the planet that he's sorry for what he's about to do, but the humans had it coming, that type of thing. Like the fact that these guys don't really want to hurt the planet. They're just tired of the infestation of the humans themselves, and humans can see the vice versa when it comes to there. It could literally be one of those cliche stories of everybody on the planet has to come together to fight an external force, and that's why I'm so heavily leaning on aliens, because that's usually how this thing normally goes. You gather up all of the Earth's forces. The only thing that would unite all countries together is if aliens showed up.
Oh my god.
Typically. That type of thing. So that's why I'm just it's probably going to be that, but we'll see how they tackle it if it does end up getting into that aspect. But Ash, how do you feel about that line from Jeremy, just that the Bugnarok might actually be the bad guys? Are we going to get a Bugnarok redemption arc and then another enemy rears their ugly head after the next arc or this arc is over?
I mean, it's possible Sentai's known to do that, so we could see another enemy. Just don't know who it could be. Like if the Bugnarok are meant to be this big bad, or they're not the big bad, then who's more of a threat than the Bugnarok apart from Reculus?
Actually, Cyrus asked a question that I'm gonna maybe alien invaders could be humans from another world. What if they're humans from our world?
Oh.
Think about it. They purposely set this in a planet that's not ours. Completely. And of course, Sensei has established other worlds where humans exist that are parallel to Earth, but they've never fully committed to how King Ojer has committed to this world in itself. And I'm what if it really is oh, the bad guys were us the whole time?
Oh,
maybe
God.
it's a reverse Gurren Lagann thing where the humans drove the Bugnarok underground.
Oh, man.
Maybe they were on top first.
Yeah. The whole anti-spiral thing that I've been already using for Geeks might be a whole King Ojer thing as well. Oh my god, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, multiverse plotline, it's possible. Sentai has dealt with multiverses before, but not to a greater extent, not to a Power Rangers level of greater extent, but they technically have a multiverse within Sentai in themselves. It just is who's the head writer and how they're gonna fuck it up this time. So
Deathrack as the 7th Ranger?
That's what I am kind of leaning towards. I said that in my review last week, that I'm kind of leaning towards Deathrack possibly having a heel turn and might actually be either get a more humanoid transformation form. Not to say that we haven't gotten weird things transforming into Sentai that just look like your typical Sentai before already. Look at Doggy Kruger. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's certainly possible.
Oh, actually, do you think we'll get like your standard what do you call it? The second command in this case. What was his name? I keep forgetting the bishop's name.
Kamajim?
Yeah, you think we'll just get the standard? Oh, Kamajin's fed up with Deathrack, becomes
He's the
main
real
bad.
enemy.
Yeah, you
Like,
think?
or he'll side with the other team. AKA, if they pull a Go Sager Brethren like plot line, then I'll be down for that because Go Sager's like best aspect of that season. Don't sleep on Go
Three.
Sager. Go watch Go Sager.
Yeah, I
It's the
gotta
villains.
watch it.
It's
Yeah,
the
it's good.
villains. The villains are the highlight of it.
What was it? It was like 2 or 3 different villains.
Three different villain factions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with one overarching villain between them all, because Brethren every time would just go like come back with a new form styled in the way of the new villains that come up. Like it's crazy.
That's really cool. Although I think what was it? Bokendra was one of the other ones that did that, right? Or something similar.
Well, the way that Bokendra did it was 3 factions at the same time.
Right.
So Go Sager took it a different route where it's like they literally had different villain arcs. Like we fought this group, then after we beat that group, a new enemy shows up. Then we beat that one, then a new enemy shows up. So that kind of thing. That's what set Go Sager dramatically apart from how Bokendra ended up doing it. So yeah, it's like Sensei's tried different formulas before when it comes to villain groups, but this is a formula that I would like to see again just because we haven't really gotten it that much. We'll typically get the whole like we'll pull under us, we'll pulled over us arc like near the last 10 episodes, where it's just like, oh, the bad guys weren't really the real bad guys. Here's the real bad guys. That's something that we've seen in Sentai far too often. But this is episode 10. This is episode 10.
And they're hinting at something else.
Yes, and they're already hinting at something else. So I'm just like, the potential's there.
True.
So it's just good stuff. So anyone else have any theories, context, anything regarding King Odra at all before we move on to these fabulous toy sales?
No.
Anything from chat? Let me see real fast.
Me the true villain. No.
Ooh.
I mean, it'd be funny if he actually ends up playing the nice guy card, and then he ends up being worse than Raculus.
Ooh. I don't see the thing is I don't see Raculus as a main villain. I see it like maybe
I don't see him as a main villain now overall. I really feel that he's just a man caught in his own arrogance, and that's it.
I feel like he'll be his own faction by the end of it or something. I don't know.
So those are the aspects that we got going on there. So let's see anything else. Overlord Jeremy, Overlord Kevin, all of
Overlord hat guy.
Never forget the Kevin. I hear Psycho Kaiser's changing his name to Kevin from now on. So it's now a thing. You don't see him at what? What do you mean? Okay. Who actually still sees Raculus as a proper villain, as a proper threat? Like, if you want me to make an official poll, I will do it right now.
Like, he's a threat, but not like that kind of threat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's not here to end the world.
Gira. He's a threat to Gira and his goals, and possibly a threat to the other kingdoms, but he's not like a big bad threat.
Plus, with the whole like Raculus specials, like the secret of Raculus, I really think that they're trying to like literally show us a different side to his character that's not going to play into the whole super villain aspect that we were getting like the first couple of episodes. They might even semi redeem him. Maybe. I know it's a hot take. They might actually redeem Raculus, and people don't want Raculus to get redeemed. I don't want Raculus I just really want him to be a guy that's just so full of himself that like he just needs to get knocked down a peg.
My only problem is if he gets redeemed, I hope under no circumstances he becomes Jira's what do you call it? Retainer. Please. God no.
Nah, you know those 2 orphan kids are gonna be his retainers.
Oh, maybe.
They gotta be. They play too much into the bit.
True.
So let's see here. It's pretty split near 16 votes in, 56 to 44. leaning in favor of yes when it comes to Raculus being a proper villain for the show. But the thing is just like, what's he really done villainous so far? He didn't use the poison on Gira.
Although he did
used,
use it on Yama pretty easily.
But he used it on Yama, but it wasn't Yanma.
But he did.
It was it was a Bugnarok.
But he didn't know.
He didn't know.
He didn't know, but he also doesn't like Yanma.
That is true.
We know for a fact that he doesn't like Yanma. So
that is 100% true.
Orb, you know I have Discord muted during all of these live streams. Why are you sending me shit?
Wait, is Orb trying to get fight you in your DMs? Oh my god.
Orb,
Oh, yeah.
I'll only share that when Mark's on the stream. I'm not gonna post that during a Markless stream.
Oh god, it's a Hibino pick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a waifu wars pick. So just how that's gonna go. All right. So y'all ready to talk some toys?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the toys. But first,
Damn.
Geeks is doing decent.
Ooh.
All right, so looking at the toy sales that we've got going on, previously we analyzed the first quarter results when it came to Geeks toy sales, and now we've got the second quarter results. So this is quarter 4 for Bandai toy sales. Now the thing is, when I was talking to Mark the other day regarding this, I don't know if this is purely just Geeks numbers, or if we're including all the other premium Bandai offerings that are Kamen Rider related under this same umbrella. Because of course, P Bandai's come out swinging with so many like CSMs and CSG lines and stuff like that, that if they are bundling it all under the Geeks umbrella, then that could be what's carrying the numbers so far. But if this is strictly Geeks, then it's actually trending better in terms of its second quarter results than the previous writer shows before it. Whereas its first quarter results were actually trending below Revice, below Saber, and below 01. When it comes to those aspects, its second quarter is actually doing much better than them. Kind of still on even footing, but if they stay with the like 6 billion yen mark for a lot of these, then it'll actually end up doing better than these other shows. But another thing regarding this, and I actually watched Taka's video. If you don't watch Kotetsu Toys Japan, Taka's videos on YouTube, you should. He's a very entertaining fellow, and he sells Toku merch, which is all like secondhand, like Toku stuff, some hard to find stuff. But his entire thing recently was that Geeks had no toys for like the last couple months. Like there was like no DX releases after the Boost Mark II. They've got like nothing announced. There's nothing for Geeks. So it's, what are they selling right now? They're not really selling anything.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of that rough spot when it comes to things, and it makes you wonder if they're just gonna completely blow their load in the second half of this show. Like towards the tail end, they're just gonna come out with so much stuff. My entire thing with that aspect that I'm kind of hesitating about is I don't want another Revice situation. Revice had a lot of last second suit additions, and with that last minute gimmick additions that didn't finally see the release of day until this year, long after the show came out. And the thing is, it's like, of course, the Desire Driver has been hacked. You can already hear so many different sounds and things like that for unreleased buckles. But even then, it's like we haven't heard Fantasy yet. We obviously don't know about Boost Mark III, even though the current like rumor mill is that they're going to completely bypass Boost Mark III and go to a Boost Mark IX. That type of aspect when it comes to things. So I'm really wondering where they're gonna go in terms of these gimmicks. Because even Buffa didn't use a new gimmick mechanic for transformation. It was just the fever buckle. So it's like either they're trying to like boost the numbers for like what they currently have in circulation now, or the plan was that they had no plan when it came to toys.
I
Like,
feel like oh.
no, you can talk, Claudia.
No, sorry. I said that out loud by accident. Because they don't. Because the thing is, like, all the buckles we have now. We've had since the beginning, with like the exception of like maybe 2, and it's ridiculous because this show was supposed to be like the budget show to like save money, right? So that every rider has the same base suit. The only thing that was different was the helmets, and then obviously the armor that goes on the top of the suits. But like, I thought because of that we would get a lot more forms or like mix and matches with the suits, because obviously they could save money on the budget. But not only have we not gotten that, but there's a lot of buckles we just haven't gotten or seen. There's a lot of combinations we haven't seen in show when they could do that for more interesting effects. But it's basically the same thing. Like Kawa gets Ninja, Geeks gets Boost and Magnum and whatever the new thing is at the time. And obviously Buffa always gets Zombie. Neon gets Beat. But we haven't seen like anything different or weird in a very long time with the show. It's kind of annoying because like we had like when Geets got his Boost Mark II, we had like the whole potential of each individual supporter giving their rider like their own gun that they could have used to make a new form, new toy, anything like that. But guess what? Didn't happen.
Yep.
Sorry, little rant.
Yep. No. I mean, that completely is a missed opportunity, releasing a whole nother toy line with the Laser Raise Riser and not making it compatible with, Neon or Kawa in some way, shape, or form. They're going to get a separate power-up if Neon does. At this point, I don't think Neon's going to get an upgrade. And if she does, it's going to be a very, very late addition to the show.
Very lazy upgrade.
A spear, a CG spear at that, and that was it. And I'm still leaning towards the fact that Kay was going to end up getting something, probably the fantasy buckle. A lot of people are speculating that's the fantasy buckle. Of course, with the whole V Cinema that we got going on, he's going to get the Shinobi buckle, but that's probably going to be P Bandai in itself. And it's probably like there's no Shinobi sounds that are actually programmed into the Desire Driver that I recall, right?
No, I don't believe so.
So it might just read as the Ninja buckle yet again. So they're not doing much. They're really not doing much when it comes to those aspects. But I can understand why, of course, their first quarter numbers were low. We talked about this when we first reviewed these numbers on the very first episode of the show. But then the next thing is really just they didn't release. Actually, I take that back. They did release some more stuff in terms of we got the Laser Raise Riser, we got the actual belt portion of it. We got the Boost Mark II. I think Power Builder probably gets factored into this, even though I know that there's a lot of Power Builder fans in the chat. I'm sorry, I don't like that. Terrible buckle. It looks terrible.
I don't really care for it either. I'm not gonna
lie. Vision Driver, probably first wave sales get factored into that. But like I said, a lot of the things might get skewed if we start factoring in a lot of the P Bandai belts from Revice that finally saw release during this second quarter. Juga Driver finally got released. So those numbers getting factored in. Deathstream Driver finally coming out. Those numbers possibly like inflating the Geeks numbers. So there's a lot of possibilities that this might not just all be really just Geeks, but just all of the circulations of these other belts, especially like on the horizon, we've got the Black Sun Driver that's releasing, the Kabuto CSM re-release that's coming out, the Phi CSM, and that entire plethora of toy line that's going to be re-releasing. Those are all, if those all go strictly to the current airing show at the time, then Geeks is going to get heavily inflated numbers that don't accurately reflect the show in itself. That's why I really wish that we would have gotten a proper breakdown showing what might be strictly for other shows now after the fact, than just what's currently airing in terms of those aspects, because the numbers could be skewed in terms of that. Because otherwise, I would anticipate that Geeks would have been trended in like around the same places like Revice and Saber were during their second quarter. I had a bump up, but I really think that it was because of those other belts. Now, remind me if I'm mistaken, but around this time last year, outside of the typical Revice stuff, what other Kamen Rider like big releases were coming out for like anniversaries or anything like that? There wasn't any that come to mind.
There was actually some Memorial Edition Saber stuff. Like two of the swords, the Falchion sword and the normal sword, got their bigger, more accurate version. I only know this because I have them all. Around that time. I remember there was a lot of Saber stuff that came out with Revice towards the end.
So is that it?
That's all I could think about. At least that's all I could think of.
Yeah, well, depends whether or not Saber's toy lines was, well, I mean, looking at the sales number here, Saber's toy lines was more or less in flux with Revice in themselves, so I can still see a lot of those additional sales coming into play.
Based on what I see order-wise for some of the Saber stuff, it's selling pretty decent, actually, even now.
And even then, just factoring in what came out during this last quarter, it wasn't really just those CSMs. We had the re-release of the Thouser. I mean, not the Thouser, but the Arc 1 driver. We had the Genmuso like releases of the Gashat along with the Arc Thouser release of that Progress keys. We had a lot of P Bandai stuff come out in the last like 3-4 months. Like, it's been ridiculous. And I'm thinking that's probably what's inflating these numbers. Because I don't see the Geeks toy line actually. Now, of course, like someone that actually like lives in Japan, actually, like if Taka could like give some more deets regarding this, I'd greatly appreciate it. But in terms of like the information, I refuse to believe that it does not include these other numbers in there.
Oh no, it's got to. I don't think Geeks is that popular that these are the sales. Well, even then, the merch itself, like I don't think there exists the merch to get these numbers from the sale from just Geeks alone, right?
The Zaz sword from Outsiders, that's all technically in the pre-order status currently, so I don't think that they would count towards their current earnings. I think it has to properly like release and they actually get the revenue stream from it versus a pre-sale. But then again, I don't know if Bandai does similar to what some gaming companies do, because I follow also the earnings for a lot of these gaming companies as well, where they go by shipped quantity as opposed to sold quantity. If they go by shipped quantity versus sold, then those numbers are completely one-sided, because shipped just means that you're sending them out to retailers versus sold meaning that they're actually in people's hands. Like, two completely different beasts. But since Bandai operates a lot under the P Bandai moniker, then a lot of the stuff might be pre-sales that you have to pre-order in order to release. And of course, we know how bad the scalpers market is for some Kamen Rider stuff that actually does not end up selling, but they sell out right away during the pre-order phase. But once they actually release, you can find it on eBay cheaper because no one ended up caring. Lear Bureau driver, weekend driver, so many other drivers. So many things from Revice, just back there. So Ash, what are your thoughts when it comes to these numbers?
I'm not like the biggest toy expert, but I'm not gonna say the Geeks. Like what Taka said, like it's weird that like you don't see all these pre-orders like being shared around by like the site saying, "Hey, this buckle's coming out." Like it feels very dry. Like the only thing like you hear about toy releases when it comes to Geeks is like either a figure arts or a driver, and they've been very like far and in between when it comes to like buckles and stuff like that. So I'm surprised the numbers are that high, but I'm surprised they haven't released like a lot of different buckles, because they didn't do like a buckle for like every rider series, didn't they? It was only like a select few.
Yeah, that even though a lot of them are built into it, they haven't released all of them yet. They're still doing them in waves.
Okay.
Which I'm like, if it's been like a a dry couple of months because I can't, like I said, after the Boost Mark 2 came out, like nothing's really been out, and it's already been like a month, and they have nothing announced in terms of their toy catalogs for the next couple of weeks. Like we got those like Spider Kumino scans, so we know that like King Ojer is rocking and rolling when it comes to like their upcoming toy releases. But at the same time, I would have expected to see something Geeks related, and we did not at all. There's like nothing announced.
It's so weird. Like we're in like episode 30, like the late 30s, and I'd expecting some kind of power up merch to be out by now after like the latest one, like the next buckle or something. It's kind of weird.
There's no leaks either. I don't see anything.
Yeah, that's the other thing, and it's probably to avoid like showcasing off the new forms because I do feel that, of course, if Kawa does end up getting his upgrade in like episode 36 and then Gates like in episode 38, then we're like about a month shy from all of those releases. And since they had a 2-for-1 manga like magazine spread for like those leaks that we got a couple weeks back, it could be one of those that we're waiting for, and they're just trying to avoid showing us the forms. And I mean it could be a pleasant surprise in like the instance of which we got the jean suit once again that came out of nowhere because we didn't have any magazine scans or anything like that. But the second we see a new form, we are instantly anticipating where's that new gimmick. The only thing we've seen so far is the Shinobi buckle for Tycoon, and it's just whether or not they're going to re-release that as its own individual item or not. They probably are. Maybe they'll actually rig it up with its own electronics so it makes its own sounds, but we'll see. But even then, that's still something that wouldn't come out for like another possible year because it's a Toei Tokusatsu fan club thing. So you know what's going to happen is they'll announce it right after the special ends, and then it doesn't come out for another year because that's usually how these items go when it comes to P Bandai and Toei Tokusatsu fan club items. So yeah, anything else to say when it comes to Geeks toy sales? Doing better, I
still haven't bought a desired driver yet.
It's okay. I bought 2 of them, so I offset your non-buy. So
that's okay.
I've got 2. So hey, it's a good item to like just have OC on. It makes sense. All right, so moving on to King Ojer numbers. So King Ojer had their first quarter results over here. And this was the shocking part for me was the fact that it is trending with Zenkaiger currently with its first quarter results and actually doing lesser than Dawn Brothers. And this is the part that I get confused at because Dawn Brothers, when it first released, it didn't have much in terms of toys. And pretty much the majority of what it had going on was still part of the Zenkaiger like toy line because the Don Oni Taijin did not come out until the second quarter. That did not come out until like after like the show was already like well past like the quarter mark for it. And that's what ended up like continuing the trend for toy sales because that was like the fastest selling pre-ordered mech that they'd ever had. And then once it became more readily available in the later quarters, that's what kept keeping the trend up. While King Ojer, on the other hand, they went in with another plan in mind and released pretty much mech forward in the beginning. It was all King Ojer, all of the supplementary mechs, pretty much all the lesser shoe gods, as well as the King Ojer themselves. You got the changers, you got the phones, you had all of that on there, but still 1.5. And I'm just like, for the amount of money, like just thinking about the amount of money spent in terms of production costs for King Ojer, and then looking at the toy sales, I'm just like, look, Dawn Brothers was probably shot using peak potato cam quality, but gave us peak narrative, which is why we enjoyed so much. While King Ojer is out here just spending like I'm going to copy Disney with no Disney money like homework type aspect, but then they're just pulling in these numbers. Someone explain these numbers to me. Like, someone try and make sense of this to me. Like, what's going on here when it comes to
like,
King Ojer?
I'm confused as well because, like, apart from like the I know there's like the keychains and the mech and stuff out there, but like I don't think they've even released like the Candy Wave or the Gachapon line when it comes to King Ojer yet, right?
I would say Mark would be the one to answer that one.
Okay. Okay. Mark, if you're in the chat, please say yes. Or
Please say
something.
how much you've spent. I know that he's bought like the mini plas and stuff like that, and the mini plas
Yeah,
tend
yeah.
to like sell, or actually, I
Really?
think he said are selling better than the actual DX toys are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But like it's weird, like it feels like there hasn't been like apart from all the changes and all the mechs and stuff like that, it feels like there hasn't been like a lot of King Ojer mech coming out apart from like all the side stuff. So it's weird that it's like on par with Zenkaija, because when Zenkaija was out, it had all the gears and stuff. I don't know how many gears, I can't remember, but it's crazy that it's sold this much, but there's not a lot out there. Like it's trying to wrap my head around. It's weird. Like what's going on?
Yeah, and the thing is, this goes back to like an earlier like conversation that we had on one of these streams regarding toys in general and what Sentai needs to do to like buck this trend, because like Kamen Rider is still completely outselling like Sentai, like bar none when it comes to like the amount of money that they're raking in. And I'm really like, look, right now, Kamen Rider has a very large roster. And the thing that sets them apart is usually unique changers in some way, shape, or form. If they had done something like that with King Ojer, with each king having their own respective swords, I think that might have like changed some things. But no, it's all the same changes. Like you instantly increase your profit margins if you diversify the amount of toys per character, and you're already guaranteed 5 from the get-go, but you have the same changer for it, so you probably minimize a lot of those aspects. And I would say that the difference is also like Don Brothers had that build up to us getting Down Only Taiken. Like we were all like, when are we gonna get the actual mech, things like that. And then when we got it and we got teased of it, they were like, this is going to be the largest mech, the most articulated mech we've done in a while. And here you go. And of course, that thing sold out like crazy. While with the King Ojer, it's smaller. It's back to standard size. The articulation is still there from what I've heard and seen from other reviewers out there. But the only time that I see them actually going as big as that is once they release the castle.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the one that might get some people to actually purchase some stuff, is if they actually go that size with the castle. But the thing is, articulation depends on how the castle ends up moving, because if it ends up being your return to form, very stiff figure, then that's not going to do anything for most people. Let's see. People complaining about the sword sizes. Yes, like, okay, I get it. Memorial editions are supposed to be something for after a show is done airing. But the thing is, like, they should have known for a fact that because they use swords as changers, that people wanted the full-size prop almost instantly. So why not release it under a different toy line? Hell, Bandai's got so many toy lines, it doesn't even matter, because they don't even know what toy line they're releasing whatever they said they were going to release in originally in, because the CSG seems to be exclusively Kuga, and then all the big weapons that we're getting for Fies this time around are still under the CSM line. Saber got released under the Memorial Edition line, and that's typically Sentai and some Ultraman stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know what you guys are doing. Just say big toys for big folks toy lines. That's it.
But they're like, kids can't afford that.
Big toys for big kids. That's the line. And that's it. That's it. Just release them. King size King Ojer toys. That's it. There it is. It sells itself. King size King Ojer toys.
You really
Just
want that
something
Memorial Edition Racula sword, don't you?
I do. Absolutely, I do. I am so in debt right now. Like, you have no idea. The Saiga driver earlier this week, my God. Orga's coming out soon. The Fives are...
Oh,
I'm not gonna get it.
Let's go. I'm getting a Saiga one for sure.
It's... Oh, my God. Of course, if they released a functional, full-size version of the Ojer
bike?
Caliber Zero, of course I'm going to get that.
Oh, I thought you meant
the Autovijin?
I thought you were gonna be like, I'm gonna
have to refinance my house if that's the case. Like, look, there's
you're living in a box.
I'll be like, look, guys, I got this cardboard box I'm living in right now, but it's okay. I got my CSM like Autovijin. I'm good, guys. It doesn't actually function, but it looks cool. I'm not gonna take that thing anywhere because I'm gonna get robbed the second I park that outside of any place I'm at. So yeah. Cloudy, your thoughts when it comes to these sales, especially compared to like Don Brothers?
I don't know if it's because like King Ojer doesn't have like a collectible gimmick like Don Bros did with the coin with the gears and stuff. Because like Don Bros, like they still had like their own version of the gear clinger, right? The Don Blaster, and they had the glasses, and they had a few other toys. Because with King Ojer, all you have is the mech, the tiny auxiliary mechs, and then the swords, which there are only two of. So there's honestly really not much to buy except for like the plushies, and I don't know that many people who are interested in getting some plushies other than a couple that I can name, but I won't because
I always find them to be oversized plushies, and even then the plushie that they should have released is a proper sized Mofun that is a sleep size, like that giant Snorlax pillow that they released ages ago. Released that of Mofun. People will buy it. People will buy it. Like, I don't know what's going on in like Bandai's marketing department, but someone needs to get fired or at least reassess like their job role right now because they don't know what people want.
Some redhead in America says you got to get fired. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you don't know toys. Like, you're not making what people want to spend.
You're not getting our money out. You're not making our money.
Yeah. I spent no money on anything King Ojer currently. So
no.
I wish you could pull up like the Ultraman ones because even Ultraman is doing better than them.
Look, I saw the Blazer wrist changer. I'm buying that.
It's great, right?
Like, I saw the actual like the way the toy works. I'm just like, I'm definitely buying that. This might be that's definitely going to be my first Ultraman. Anything that I buy that's really actually cool, like a role play item. Yes, it's really, really cool. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of Drive.
You should get the Earth Garon while you're at it. It's the mech. It's not that bad, but I understand finances are tight with all the stuff coming out.
Yep. There's too much going on, but that's a cool wrist changer, and I'm a big fan of wrist changers. Because if you're going to do swords, make them the right size.
And if you're going to do guns, make them functional. No.
Oh, my God. America. Great. That's if we still had the trademarks to a proper Masked Rider. Masked Rider Geeks featuring Dabhand, Kamen Rider Glock out here.
Rider Glock.
Yep, just out here, just doing it. God.
Yeah.
I did not see the eye candy for. Oh wait, I know what eye candy you're talking about for Blazer. Yes, I did see in the spoiler discussion in my Discord server. And,
we were talking about that before the stream.
And boy, that was indeed a thing.
I told you, right?
Yeah. That was definitely a meanwhile moment for me. So completely all about it. All right, so. Anyone have any last input when it comes to these toys before we move on to the final topic? It's still an hour and a half.
Toei, I feel like Toei Bandai, they know what people want. They just won't make it, or at least not at a reasonable time. I don't know why. Because it's really not that hard. They want mechs and they want big toys. It's easy.
Yep. There's
also,
definitely an audience for it. So
also don't release it all at once, please. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's the issue that I had last week, obviously, with all the FISE announcements. I'm like, don't release them like back to back to back to back. I need a break. It's
You need
almost
to
like
build up a savings.
it's almost like Bandai saying, like, hey, look, we're gonna let y'all recoup, like save up, because when the big Geeks release comes out later on, you're gonna want this. So save up that money now, because
What could they be releasing in one?
I think they're gonna have a new driver. I think they're gonna have a whole new driver.
New driver? Who's getting
Yep.
it? You think it's just for Geeks?
I think Ace is gonna get a new driver. If they're gonna do Boost Mark 9,
Mhm.
Mark 9's not built into the Desire driver.
No, it's not.
So they're probably gonna end up making some new style driver for Ace.
Fair. Yeah.
I really think that that's going to be it. Like, they're going to have a new driver for it, because the way that the show is skewing now, they're trying to break out of the DGP. So they might use a very non-conventional thing. Hell, if Ace ends up being like a past form of Sueru, and we see that Sueru actually can manifest the powers, can manifest the world in itself or manipulate the world without the need of a driver, maybe what he comes up with is like a very early vision driver, like the first precursor to it all. He just discovers that he has that ability.
Ooh.
So could be a thing. Now, if that thing comes out like very sleek, like classic Apple white, like the IMAX, probably might be very, very sleek and sexy. We'll see. When's the last time we got a proper white? There it is. It's the Arc One driver. I was like, when's the last time we got a proper sleek white driver? That was it. Because tech based. So good stuff there. All right. So moving on to the final topic of the night, and that is it's been a little over 6 months since Black Sun has graced Amazon Prime, and we got it all in one single dump. Now, the thing about it is just like this was something that took over a year of hype from announcement to release. When it came out, I felt like it fizzled, and nowadays I still barely see anybody talk about it. Like, do you think Black Sun was worth the hype, the investment for what we actually got, and how its current non-factor of a reception is nowadays? Ash, what do you think?
All right. Ooh, prone to me. So Black Sun, I feel like it has fizzled out. No one's talking about it anymore. I mean, I feel like the only time you see it brought up is when you're going to see like pre-orders for like the CSM stuff coming out. But there was a lot of hype building up towards. I was excited for it. I watched it within a week. I haven't gone back and checked it out since then. I barely remember. I remember bits and pieces of it. I don't want to say it's a bad series. It's an all right series, but I feel like they, instead of dropping it all in one hit, they should have made a weekly. They have that weekly discussion instead of dropping it in one hit. Because when it first dropped on Amazon, it was really hard to find. I had to search it. I mean, it didn't have homepage exclusive. I don't know if that was different for you guys. Was it?
It popped up instantly for me because I would search for Common Writer constantly on Amazon, to the point that it was just like, oh, hey, we noticed that you search a lot for this shit. Here's a new show. And I was like, bet. I still got it illegally. Whatever.
Piracy, I hear. What?
I heard no ship sailing. But yeah,
Can't hear the sound of the ocean. Sorry, what?
I mean, I still pay for Prime, but I was still like, whatever.
But yeah, it should have aired weekly, but I feel like it should have had more of a marketing push. I'm sure Toei and that did their part of it, but it was, I think, leading up to it, there was barely any talk about it until like 2 months. We had like the teaser trailer of Kitaro walking, and then we got the big trailer like 2 weeks before it, if I remember correctly, or a month.
Yeah, yeah, we did end up we got like little teasers, and then we got another teaser after that one that showed us like Nobuhiko uh
Yeah.
doing the transformation. And then after that was like the big like trailer leading up to things. And the thing is,
Mhm.
like, for me, like, the more I saw it, like, the more I was like, oh, this isn't using really the source material for anything outside of like
Mm.
namesake at all. That's it. And I had to start doing like that mental disconnect. Like, I
Yeah.
know that you're trying to play homage to this show, but I know already from everything that you showed me so far that this is not a retelling, a remake of
Oh,
original Kamen Rider Black. This is your own
yeah.
thing with the name.
And that's what I thought it was going to be going into it, but it was set in its own thing. So it's like, okay, like original Black is like 50 episodes long. Like I've heard good things about it, but it kind of a slog to get through because it's like early, like not early shower, but like set like writer and stuff around that time. So I thought it'd be like, oh, this is a quick sort of retelling of the show, but it's not. It still had an interesting story to tell, but it I like a lot of people I think going into it thought this was going to be a remake of Black.
Yep. Yeah, and that's where a lot of issues come into play. And I know talking to folks in other countries, because the thing is,
Mhm.
like, Americans have a certain expectation, typically Western crowd, different expectations.
Mhm.
But the thing is, original Kamen Rider Black has a huge Latin American following, because Kamen Rider Black did actually air in South America in a Spanish dub and even a Portuguese dub, like way back in the day. So a lot of folks actually know this show very well,
Yeah,
and they were waiting for like the second coming of Kotaro Minami, and what they got was not Kotaro Minami at all. Like, it
yeah.
was not the same character. So for a lot of them, it felt like character assassination in a way, because
Mm.
he was not the central focus of a show named after him. It was not Kamen Rider Black Sun. It was pretty much the Nobuhiko and Aoi show. That's what it
Mhm.
was. If you watch the show all the way to the end, Black Sun takes a little bit of a backseat. He's a background character in his own show. He's just there in a lot of aspects. His time to shine was really the very beginning of the last episode, which I think most people that reviewed it, and myself included, said that the beginning of episode 10 was peak for that
Mhm.
entire show. And then after that, it was just back to the status quo. So, Cloudy, I know you've got some thoughts regarding this show as well.
Oh, yes. Don't watch it. That's there's several things you could waste your afternoon doing. Don't waste 10 hours, or I guess it's really like 8 hours and change. Watching that, there's so much more productive things to do. I swear to God. But yeah, just watch the original Black if you feel like you want to watch Black or something. It has nothing really similar to the original Black except for characters and name only, and very loose like relations like to the old material. Like obviously there's Creation King in there, but he's actually not really the Creation King, at least not the way you want him to be. The ending, not great. The fight between Black Sun Nobuhiko, really mid, really boring. Did not feel anything at
The
all.
way it ended was a little bit in a fizzle, and like I felt that the impact of it all like was kind of like just haphazardly, because after the fight was over, pretty much just says like, "Oh yeah, that's look, it's not the way that this is supposed to go. This is actually the way that we're doing this." And then Nobuhiko's like, "Oh man, you're right," dies.
Yep.
It's like, what? What? This was 30 years. Actually, no, this was 50 years. This was 50 years of okay. All right, that heel turn right there at the end.
Yep.
Nice.
If you
Bet.
want the good
Amazing.
moments in the show, episode 1 was good because 1 set the tone really good. That
Mhm.
first fight scene with that spider, very fantastic. In fact,
Yeah,
that's
really
why I
good.
would say, like, if you had this week to week after that first episode, I would have been hooked. I would have been strapped in for the next week to week ride. It would have probably had me because honestly, it didn't start getting bad until the latter half of the show, and I started seeing, the signs, because I could marathon it, and I did marathon it in one day. Not the best idea, and I regret it, but I did, and then I watched it again just to make sure of my opinion, and it's still like if you want like the best parts of the show, it's like you got the beginning, you got there's a certain scene in the backstory with Nobuhiko and Kotaro that's pretty decent, and then because there's one that explains why he's taking drugs and not eating heaven. Then there's obviously episode 7 with a reference to Emmett Till and quite possibly one of my favorite scenes with Nobuhiko when he truly becomes a Kamen Rider in that show, and then the beginning of episode 10. That's about it. Everything else you can probably just like avoid hearsay or whatever. Because
no, the thing is, I mean, for me, like one of the biggest things for me was Shadow Moon, because for the longest time, it's like Shadow Moon's not a Kamen Rider. Shadow Moon's not a Kamen Rider. That's the thing. It's like in original Ishinomori standards for what a Kamen Rider is, Shadow Moon is not a Kamen Rider. Now, this show did do its damn job in proving to me, someone who goes with the notion of what a Kamen Rider should technically stand for, and made Nobuhiko actually live up to the moniker of Kamen Rider. So I was like, okay, great. I can see it now. But the show's still called Black Sun, and why is Kotaro doing nothing?
Yeah.
Like
Nobuhiko stole that show. He was so well done. I think
pretty much
probably the strongest part of the show.
Also, yes, Satin Saber didn't matter at all. Like that was another thing entirely. Like they showcased that off like every so often in a lot of the flashback scenes and things like that. And like I was just waiting for Nobuhiko to properly like wield it.
He could have. He could have, but then he just gave it back.
Yeah, and then the entire thing was like they only fought with their appendages for like their actual like swords, and I was just like, this is not the same as how it. But that's the other thing. It's like the disconnect between the old show and the new show in a lot of those aspects. But it's just like, why even try and pull like certain notions from the source material if you're just gonna shit on it?
Also, yeah, this is like also obviously everyone's had time to see it. You can watch it anywhere you want. But Belgania, the character, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen such a man do so many horrible things to Aoi. Literally every horrible thing you could imagine someone doing in the show, he does to Aoi, right? In the latter half of the show, she just gets into a car with him like nothing's ever happened. And then he just protects her and gets his redemption. And I'm like, you do not get that after the shit he pulled. Like with his father, her mother, and her. Literally everything. It's just like, how? Sorry, it's just the tonal whiplash of how they went from like, this guy is just absolutely
there's a lot of things in this show that just goes as complete assholes and non-explainers that just always confuse me. Like the thing is, okay, we have a lot of flashbacks to the 1970s and they use their kaijin forms then, but for some reason in modern day without their kingstones, because no, they gave up their kingstones in the 1970s, they're able to evolve their forms to their rider forms. How?
Yep.
How?
Yeah, I always got the kingstone the whole time. Never given it to Kotaro. I thought that was what was going to unlock the henshin, but no. He just does it because after she gets kidnapped, he's just like, you know what? I need some real power for this, apparently.
So it's like the whole non-explainer to that. Also, another thing is like if you've seen the original show versus this one, the kingstones are actually their belts. Without the kingstones, they technically cannot transform. But within the context here, it seems like the belts are an after effect of the kingstones, but not actually utilizing it whatsoever. So I guess that's a whole thing, but then it doesn't explain how. So there's a whole process when it comes to kaijins. There's kaijins that I guess are just born from other kaijins, but the original kaijins are all manufactured. No kaijin just came about. They were all manufactured beings by kooky scientists. That's the backstory that we get within the context of this show. And we're to assume that their process was very similar to Kotaro and Nobuhiko's process of becoming kaijins, using that little crystallized thing with all the bug extract and things like that. But apparently they're not king stones. Everybody else just gets regular like stones, whatever.
Yep.
And we're to assume that that's the same thing that happened to Aoi. But Aoi, for some reason, gets a driver.
Yep.
How?
And a very weird rider form, might I add.
Yeah, because she already had the form before. Now it's just with a belt and her standing upright.
Exactly.
That's it. That's it. That's the power of it. It's
she got really lucky in the Kaijin lottery. Like hers was just beyond broken.
Yeah, everybody else was just like, oh, you just get head and arms, and that's it. And hers like full body swap. There you go.
Like so strong enough to body Kotaro the first time she sees him.
Which is another thing. He teaches her how to do self-defense in like one flashback. And then during the final face-off, it's the same choreography. It's like, I taught you this move once. I hope you remembered it.
Yep. And of course,
my God.
For anyone who's seen the original Kamen Rider Black, they absolutely murdered and destroyed the best character in the show. You're never gonna see him like actually. Good rest in peace, Battle Hopper.
Oh, yeah.
Non-sentient bikes. They're just there.
No Battle Hopper. Well, not a proper anyway.
The other thing that like threw me off was the fact that these guys have been like, or at least, what was Shadow Moon's road sector?
Where are you?
Just been sitting in the garage for 50 years. One oil change later. It's good to go, guy. What? No. That's not
how that works.
That's not how that works.
You got so much. You got to change the rusted parts. Like, who knows what doesn't work anymore after that?
Also, who's building beefy machines like this in the 1970s? Ain't nobody building that shit. Oh my God, that was a moment indeed. Like the second I saw that happen, I was like, "That's what?" Like,
No.
If you ever have your car break down on you or anything like that, or you ever get like a car that's like 20 years old, you know the amount of work you got to put into that bitch just to get it up and running. I can only imagine a 50-year-old bike that's been sitting in a garage for 50 years, like with a tarp over it. Nah, it don't work like that, my guy. Nah, a little WD-40. Nah, that's not how that works. Oh my God. This was a show, and it's like, look, I understand some people have issues with like the political connotations that this show does have in terms of its aspects of it, and we're like, oh yeah, they're kicking it one to the Japanese government in terms of that aspect, things like that. The thing is, like, for some people, it felt like it was a little bit too much in some prospects, and I'm just like, I get that. I mean, you want to see your Ryder Bugman show for the Ryder Bugman. Instead, you get a socio-political like story that gets thrown in there as well. But even then, it's still got a bad end on all fronts.
I just don't think that. All right, so political nonsense aside, right? That's fine to have in a show, but this is the Japanese doing that stuff.
Yeah,
like that feels like there's a tonal like there's kind of like a joke lost there, you know what I mean? Like, because you have them talking about acceptance of like multiple races, sexualities, and genders and whatnot, but the Japanese are very known xenophobic people, at least, well, for the majority of it.
So really the issue that I had with it when it came to like the talking points that they tried throwing into that aspect was really the last episode. Because Aoi is legit recruiting child soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
Making bombs and stuff like that to fight still a corrupt government. I'm just like, so you fight corruption with a task force of children. I'm sorry, this does not sit well with me. None of this sits well with me. All of this is just bad end. And maybe that's just the way they intended it to be. Like, everyone gets a bad end. Aoi went from being a super pacifist to being like full on anarchy, like by the end of things.
Nick got his good ending.
That was it. Nick is the only one who got a good ending.
Yeah,
because
makes sense.
he managed to actually kill the prime minister.
And become a kaijin, which is what he wanted from the beginning.
So good job, Nick.
Yeah.
Mm.
That was it.
Also, is it Kamen Rider Aoi or Kamen Rider RX?
Shin Kids Next Door? Oh my god. Oh my god.
Shin Kids Next Door. Oh my god.
I was gonna say something, but I'm not.
Don't.
No, I'm
don't.
not. No, I'm not. Claudia already like tipped the scales when it came to certain contexts, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna like poke that bear even more.
No.
So yeah. I mean, it could be as diverse as King Ojer with just their names. That's it. That's pretty much what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's that worldly diversity going on there. But man, Kids Next Door was a show indeed.
Shin Kevin Ojer?
Shin Kevin Ojer when it comes to all that. Yeah, so the thing is, like, I don't feel that Black Sun needs a sequel.
Hmm?
I think it's a one and done story.
How can they?
Do you think it will get a sequel?
The thing is, it's just like, that's the thing. It's like, I was thinking that the way that they were going to prop this up, this was before I watched the show, was that they were going to start off with, you know, Black Sun and then lead into an RX storyline.
Yeah, I did too.
But they killed their lead. They killed their lead. Spoiler alert for over a 6-month show that you can access right now on Amazon Prime. You should have watched it then. That's why we're talking about it 6 months later. But the lead's dead.
Quotation mark lead.
Yeah. Kotaro Black Sun is gone. He dies at the end of this. There is no Black Sun. And if there is no Black RX to come out from this. And if there was, it would probably be Aoi. And the only asshole that I can think of is her having access to both of the Kingstones previously, like caused some sort of warp in her own driver that got ass pulled from out of nowhere anyway. And that leads to this new form. Whatever, it's
There's
still
also
done.
No Shadow Moon to come back either.
No, and instead, like, what's the Crisis Empire going to end up being? Like,
A bunch of old dudes.
it's just going to be, oh, we're the government, but we got spaceships now. We built a base on the moon.
Right.
And now we're going to go and take over
the
oh
moon.
my God.
Look up.
Oh my God.
Dio, how would you like have fixed the show? I'm just curious. Like what, like where's the parts where you would be like, this has to be different?
So they can go two routes with this. First of all, they could have gone a whole different show. The thing is, it's like, I've been so in the mindset, especially with the movies that we've gotten recently, where they introduce a new writer, but they tack on an anniversary aspect to it that weighs that new plot thread down. And I'm just like, this would have been so much better if it was just this writer's show or this writer's movie. Beyond Generations. If Kamen Rider Century got a movie to his own, it probably would have been like 10 out of 10. In terms of
that
like,
was a good movie.
like, because that's the thing, is like the Beyond Generations film was best when it focused on Century. When you threw in Revice, when you threw in Saber, it started dwindling in terms of its aspects. So you could have done something there. So I'm just like, why are they so scared to just make a whole new writer that's exclusive to a film or miniseries franchise? What's the turn off from that? And I get it. It's like, it's brand recognition, it's name recognition and all that. But if they advertise it well enough, it could do the trick. So that's the first option, especially with this being something geared towards adults and things like that. You don't make a show that is technically geared towards the people that grew up with original Black, which would now be in their 40s and 50s, technically. The people that actually watched original Black. And say, this is for you, but then when they watch this, it's like, oh, it's not for me. Or if it is, it's supposed to poke fun at me, that type of aspect. But yeah, I just feel like it's alienating your core fan base, your core demographic of the people that are going to be in to try and check this out day one. and then they're just going to leave with like a weird taste in their mouth in terms of like, okay, that's a thing in terms of those aspects. So it would have been better off if it was its own show, its own namesake. Because
like Amazon's.
Well, the thing is, no, because Amazon's kind of sort of played up to the original Amazon thing. The thing is, original Amazon, even though it's one of my favorite Showa shows, a lot of people didn't care for Amazon. Hell, it was a very short run Showa show to begin with. So they had that wiggle room of dealing with Amazon and making Amazons because of the lack of a large fan base. Black, on the other aspect, is another show altogether because it does have a large fan base.
True.
So that's the offset between Amazons and Black Sun in terms of like the core franchise like appeal.
But who did it better? Like who did their redone better?
I would say Amazon season 1. Strictly season 1. We don't touch the rest of that.
Just season 1 on its own.
Just season 1. If season 1 was its own thing, great. Amazing. I enjoyed what you did. Once we start getting to season 2, they start falling into the pit of what happened with Kamen Rider the Next versus Kamen Rider the First. So that's the thing.
Funny story about Amazon. Like I think you might. This is actually pretty sad though. The main actor of Amazon blames himself so much so that he won't act anymore because he thought it was his acting that made the show get canceled early.
Aww.
It's very sad because like he didn't make a bad show and it wasn't really his fault.
No, it was not. It's really like people got to remember that Showa Kamen Rider was so formulaic that even like if I was a kid back then, I'd be like, this is just last season with a new coat of paint.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's how it felt for a lot of the aspects. So it's like,
Super One
hey,
was so fun though.
It was, but it didn't save the franchise. It got canceled again. Then we had to wait for Black to come out.
True.
So the formula just wasn't hidden for Showa Rider. Like Ishinomori was out of his bag of tricks until he saw Saban's Masked Rider. And then he got the urge to create. And thus we got Kuga. So yeah. Black Sun definitely was a thing. First of all, yeah, it shouldn't have been a binge model show, and I think that's the biggest pain point that we've all said. Even like when we first started doing this live stream, is just binge model shows don't work for a lot of these shows that we are used to having weekly discussions with. It doesn't lead to any like speculation. It doesn't lead to any sort of hype train going on to what's going to happen next. And the thing is, since people go at their own pace and we are currently in the age of a lot, maybe too much information, there's going to be those folks that get further ahead than other folks right away. And they're quick to just spill the beans regarding things. And that's the thing. Some people know no filter. They can't hold back from like saying like, here's everything that happened in the finale. And that's the issue that we have with like the binge model is some folks have the time to sit through a whole 10 episode, hour long each episode thing in one sitting. I don't. A lot of people don't. And then it becomes hard to like, if I click on social media right now, what are the odds that I'm going to get spoiled on something I haven't seen so far? Pretty high, knowing like how the community is.
Yep.
So it would have been better off with the weekly outings and you just go from there. It could have lived in the lexicon for, 2.5 months. 2.5 months. Instead, we got it all in one day, and some folks were hesitant about talking about it in the first day. Other folks were adamant about talking about it the first day. And then even by the time I got finished watching it like a week after, the conversation already stopped.
It's depressing, really.
Yeah, so that's the issue with all this. So Black Sun was indeed a show, but it sold drivers. Sold belts.
Yeah.
They were cool.
So
They were
figures,
cool.
yeah.
Those
The
toys.
cool belts. I will say that.
Yeah. If only they weren't like, $450.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And in limited release. And now, Shadow Moon's driver is going to be available pretty soon.
How much?
And same price.
You think? No markup?
It might be more. It might be a cool 500.
No.
Might be a cool 500. And then Aui's driver is probably going to show up next.
No. Well, no, no one's gonna buy that. I don't.
It's probably going to be called the Eclipse driver.
Wow.
We have the Sun driver, the Moon driver. It's probably going to be the Eclipse driver.
Yeah.
And that's going to be Aui's driver. And yeah, that's going to be the thing. But hey, it has cool moving parts that move via motion sensor. So that's the entire thing when it comes to all of that.
Do you think this because of Black Sun, you're more hesitant on when they announce shows or products like this? Oh, sorry.
It's a two-pronged approach because in that same press conference, they had the Black Sun and they had the Shin Kamen Rider announcement during that same time. It was supposed to be for Rider's 50th anniversary, even though, of course, that came out in a bad year. So everything got pushed back by, a year or two. And now we're getting Shin Kamen Rider in the States for one night only, one time slot only, and I'm driving 80 miles to watch it.
Let's go.
So
Commitment.
I'm driving 80 miles one way. 80 miles one way. I have to emphasize that. 80 miles one way just to watch this film. After this film is over, I got to drive 80 miles back home.
It better be worth it.
It better be worth it.
I'm Australian. How long of that is a drive?
I would say 80 miles is roughly about an
45
hour,
minutes?
40 minutes.
Okay, so it's if I go into the city, let's see a movie that's out there.
Oh.
Yeah, the thing is, I got to deal with Atlanta traffic. Atlanta traffic normally, after 8 p.m., there's at least one or two bodies splattered on the highway.
Fuck.
So yeah, that's the issue when it comes to that.
Jesus.
I should stream from the movie theater. No, it's going to be terrible. I'm probably going to vlog the experience of driving up there and seeing the lack of people that's going to be
greet?
in that theater. Meet and greet. Yeah, we'll see who's up in that.
You'll
Actually,
get one.
which-
guy out of nowhere.
Let me see. Do I drop which theater I go to? If anyone's in the Georgia area.
Oh my God.
Let me see. Oh, it's not like I actually live there. I'm driving fucking 80 miles to go there, so.
Well, yeah, but imagine just Orb is just there out of nowhere, just there to say hi.
He's
He
been to
lives-
Georgia before.
Really? I thought he lives in the UK. Yeah.
Orb in the UK. I don't believe you.
Oh, okay.
So, it's Morrow, Georgia, where I'll be at for their 7 p.m. viewing. So that'll be a nice trip for me.
I don't think Australia is getting a Shin Kamen Rider screening, which is kind of sad. So I'll have to watch it through.
Hey, you want to hop on that boat?
Yeah,
I don't
you'll
think
have-
just put me in a crate and I'll be there.
You know,
I
if
got
you
you. Got an empty barrel
if
for
you
you.
play enough Zelda, you can just craft a boat and you can just craft all of Shin Kamen Rider scene by scene using just all of the equipment they give you. You can make it work.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's the thing. It's don't make announcements years in advance and then they just end up being terrible. That's the thing. It's when I've learned this from gaming, because being someone that watches all the E3s and stuff like that, RIP E3, watches all of these gaming press releases for the announcements of a game or an announcement for an announcement of a game. It's just the hype train is there in the beginning, but then it's it fizzles out. And then by the end of things, it's just oh, this came out. And it goes like that unless they keep it very well in terms of people's mindset, in terms of how things are going to go, and that they're not going to change certain expectations. And when it comes to things like theatrical releases and stuff like that, it's like it varies. Some people want to see a change to what they've had established before, but for me, if it's something that was built on a pre-existing franchise, a pre-existing IP, then I'm expecting something to be more akin to that versus what we actually ended up getting, which is why Shin Kamen Rider, even though I know it's a deviation from the source material, it does play homage to a lot of the things that happen in the manga for Shin Kamen Rider versus what we actually got in the show, which I feel is a proper way to do things versus what we got with Black Sun. So
Is there a Kamen Rider black manga out there? That's gotta be. I think.
there
So.
was. I believe there was. Yeah. Because there were certain homages and things that they tried doing with this that did lend some credence to the manga, but even at the end of the day, there are certain things that actually, yeah, now that I remember back, there are certain things that happen in the manga that that kind of happen within the show itself, but don't play out the exact same. So the thing about the manga is Kotaro does become the Creation King, but it's implied to be an endless cycle, meaning that the original Creation King was already Kotaro to begin with.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So it's just the endless loop. And the thing is, I was watching the show thinking that that's the route that they were going to go, but then the show literally said that this is some no-name guy, some convict that they experimented on and made him the Creation King.
And put a bunch of test tubes to steal his juice.
Yep. Don't need Shin Kamen Rider 5s when we got that anniversary movie coming out next year, Paradise Regained, which I have so many people saying it's a continuation of the show, and I'm like, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. I'll wait for Inoue to properly give an interview saying what the show actually is before I believe media outlets possibly speculating on what it is. Because when it comes to Inoue, you can never predict Inoue unless the man says so himself.
I learned that from watching Don Robbins Weekly.
Yep. Stop speculating. It might not be a sequel to the show. It might not even be a sequel to the movie. It might be a sequel to the novel.
It might not even be it might not even be a sequel. It might be its own alternate universe. You never know.
Own self-contained storyline. Well, the thing is, I found out the other day, I didn't even know that they made a manga like back in 2019 for Kaiza.
They did? Oh.
They did. Written by Inoue, but the last few chapters was written by Kaiza's actor himself.
Ooh.
So I'm just like, now I got to check that out. So yeah, that's how the feelings go when it comes to Black Sun. However, it's just like, did anyone actually really just asking in the chat who generally actually enjoyed Black Sun? Like looking at the poll now, 38 votes. Was Black Sun worth the hype? 71% of the folks said no, to 28 saying yes. And the thing is just I know that there were some people out there who were singing its praises. It's the greatest thing. I'll be happy to debate anybody who is a staunch Black Sun defender. Go ahead. It's great. Fight for another day. But for the most part, it's just look, it set out to be hype, and it did nothing in the end. It didn't move the scale for anybody, or at least for anybody that I've talked to. There's a couple folks that did like it because they do like the subverting of expectations type trope, but I'm just personally at this point of it going on for the last 3-4 years in terms of medium, I'm just tired of it. So
also, it's not like it's a bad thing if you like the show. Obviously, you like what you like. There are people who like Ghost, and I disagree. There are people who like Wizard, and I don't like Wizard. But that's, you watch what you like.
If Mark was here, he would defend Ghost.
Yeah, he would kill me for that statement on the spot.
Yep. Just like there's a lot of folks that didn't like Fies until recently. Until the anniversary got announced, then they were like, "Oh yeah, I always liked Fies."
See, they didn't have their eyes open. They didn't have their eyes open.
They didn't, and I'm just like, I've been the Fies guy for the longest time. Okay, fine, whatever. Okay. I'll catch y'all when this movie releases and see how much you guys are just Wikipediaing in to what you know. So, because sometimes it'd be like that. Let's see what some people are saying. Tanoshi says it's just a buffa B.
That's pretty high.
GOA says, I mean, it has a lot of flaws, but I enjoyed the fighting and the music. The music was good. The fighting was great up until they had a couple of wardrobe malfunctions. They did have a few wardrobe malfunctions in which I do remember specifically, like Black Sun's like side piece just coming out, like when he was beating somebody up. Like it was bad. I was just like, why didn't y'all reshoot? Why didn't y'all reshoot when you saw this?
They didn't have the money.
Let's see. I like the gore. I mean, gore is one thing, but there's such a thing as being like gory for no reason. And it's just like, I get it for Japan, how we see in the US and some Western societies more like sexualization being more adult audiences. Japan sees gore being like the epitome of like more
adult
for
stuff,
adult audience. Yeah. So it's like a different dichotomy when it comes to that aspect. So that's why they amped it up to an 11 when it came to that. And I mean, Amazon's did a similar vein as well, but not as much as that. And definitely Shin Kamen Rider, from what I've seen of that first episode 1, like teaser, God, the gore in that is worse. The gore in that is way worse than what we got in Black Sun.
Or doesn't make good. It
does not. There are some people that typically teenagers, I'm sorry, but I'm just calling you out. When you're in that phase of your life that you want hard edge and you just see gore, you're like, this is it. This is what I've been wanting.
I remember that when I saw Berserk. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. I'm past that phase of my life. Like I was like that before. It's just like, yes, this is it. This is what it's like to be an adult. Now I'm an adult for like so long, and it's just like, I just want good storytelling.
Like if I see gore, it's going to surprise me. It was like, oh, that's unexpected. It was like, but yeah.
Doesn't make it good.
Yep. Yeah, especially with like, I mean, some of the things that we got in here with Black Sun, it's kind of awkward because even though they did have some gore, some of the Kaijin suits were just laughably bad. Laughably bad. Like when old buddy Sparrow got beat up, like I know
the eyes. Oh my god,
emotional scene, but that suit just like it did not help the case. It legit just like, yeah, let's put some modern like effects over a 1980s suit dressed in modern day clothing. That's it. This is it. This is peak fiction right here.
We got it.
No, it's not. It's not. It works when it works. It didn't work here. So, and I get it. It's like sometimes you got to have that disconnect in here. But what I say all the time when it comes to a lot of these shows, if you're a show that's trying to take yourself seriously, then me as an audience viewer am going to expect serious results, or at least like you to take yourself seriously. And sometimes that does come across when it comes to your costumes, and it didn't come across when it came to some of these costumes. Like when you see a whale in a full 3-piece suit, like, I'm sorry, that's just hilarious. That's just funny to me.
Or the crab guy just running the side.
Even though it's very sad because that's always dad, but it's like
that shit funny to me. Like
hilarious.
That shit was hilarious. And it's just like, okay, you're a show that wants to take itself seriously, and I can understand how if someone saw this on their Amazon queue, did not watch anything of Kamen Rider before, and saw this, they'd be like, all right, I'm in it for like these first 30 minutes, and then they see something else. It's like, oh wait, what's this wardrobe? What is this? Hold up now. What is like? Yeah, it gets to those points. So yeah. And once again, it's like if it's a show that I know is just going to be goofy from the outset, or at least set some sort of tone for being goofy, then I'm not going to take it as seriously when they give me those moments. But Black Sun tried taking itself seriously, and that's what affected a lot of things. Also, while thinking of that, Aoi using blood to put the black logo on his chest out of nowhere. I'm still like, what the fuck was that?
Also, how did it like cement into like the suit?
Yeah. The power of whatever Aui's got. Also, they just poured water over him and that healed him. Like a lot of he gathered up some minerals and stuff, put that into a mash and just poured it all over that suit. It started cooking, literally started steaming, and bam, he good to go. But that leg though, he was still in a wheelchair for like 2 episodes. So that was a whole thing. Man, Black Sun was a mess. I don't need a sequel. I don't need a sequel. Anyone need a sequel? Y'all fine without?
Just for that, you're gonna get 3 sequels.
3 sequels in a movie?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I'm curious. Like, I was curious. Like, if they do a sequel, where can it go? And I do wonder if we'll get a sequel. But if it does come out, like, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna be curious and check it out because it is Toku. It is Kamen Rider. But
I mean,
will
I
we get a
want
sequel?
to,
Maybe.
but it won't stop me from like tearing it to shreds if it ends up being
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, I get you.
I may
Yeah, I
go
get you.
into it negatively, but I definitely would watch a sequel for sure.
Mm.
If the sequel doesn't have Aoi at all and they do like a 20-year time skip and it's someone else, I'll be like, okay, now you're completely taking me by surprise.
Well, now it's completely different. Now there's nothing holding it back.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it can literally be its own show.
Yeah.
Then again, they never gave Aoi her own writer name as well. So,
Yeah.
So far, we can only call her Kamen Rider Aoi.
yep, that's
Which
it.
sounds
Aoi.
pretty bad.
Yeah, it sounds
that's what I was
painful.
thinking. That's
Yeah.
what
All right. So, any final thing before we all resume to playing Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom?
No, and it
Yeah.
hasn't left my hands since this review started. This thing started.
Well, I mean, obviously, since I'm on camera, I can't be doing all that.
Yeah.
So there's all that. All right. So Ash, anything to plug? Where can people find you?
You can find me on the YouTubes, on the Twitters, on the Instagram at Deoxy360. I was planning on like writing videos, but I'll probably be playing Tears of the Kingdom. So probably expect the usual Geeks and Kamen Rider review. Not sorry, Geeks and King Ojer review.
God damn! I mean, you're not wrong. King Ojer is essentially Kamen Riders.
Yeah.
Expect that. Also comic review, and I've also got stuff that I'm writing and working on and looking into to do other stuff for the channel. So stay tuned for that.
Just for shits and giggles, we should all do Tears of the Kingdom reviews.
Oh,
Just out of nowhere.
That'd be great.
It's like, oh, you came in for King Ojer. Let me tell y'all about a little game called Tears of the Kingdom.
It's it says King Ojer. Really, it's Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep. Cloudy, anything you want to promote?
Yes, I would like to promote my YouTube channel, under name Mark. Please come and watch and support the show. And
Links in
while
the
you're
description.
there, yep. And while you're out there, I have merch in my own totally legit website called Only Henshins. Please pick up some mugs, some T-shirts, very well designed. I have a great artist named Fabi. He's pretty cool. Just,
When are you going to start rocking that merch on your VTuber model?
You know what? I have an overlay made. I actually do have his mug because I bought it. So I have a picture of his mug that I can put in here at any time if I want to. So I might do that. I might just put it in the background or something. But yeah, please enjoy the merch. Come by.
And I led off the live stream with this, but I will say it once again. So, in preparation for the Don Brothers versus Zenkaiger film, I want to have a big, giant, meanwhile Sononi. Hold on. Meanwhile Sononi bit. How can you help out? Well, essentially, all you have to do is make your own Meanwhile Sononi bit and email it to me at zioagito@gmail.com. And it will be used during the Don Brothers Zenkaiger review that is expected to drop sometime in June. Because I feel like this might be the last time that I will have the opportunity to say Meanwhile Sononi. So I want to go all out for then and actually have the community get involved with it. Now, because this is probably going to end up coming out in June, and my birthday is actually in 2 weeks, I will have a birthday live stream on the 30th, which is a Tuesday, and which all of the submissions sent up to me by then, I will be doing a live reaction and ranking of everybody's Meanwhile Sononi bits. So the thing is, the Meanwhile Sononi was not just me aggressively drinking water. Sometimes other things would get involved. Sometimes hoses would get involved. Sometimes transforming into a jet and shooting off into Japan became a bit. You know, like, let your imagination soar when it comes to Meanwhile Sononi, because that's the magic of the bit. So if I can just see what other people cook up for that entire bit, and then I just do a live reaction to what you guys dish out, that would be the best birthday present you guys could give me for that live stream. So just putting that out there now, just send the email saying Meanwhile Sononi, and then include the video in there. It's okay if you don't have the sound effect. If you don't have the sound effect ahead of time, just let me know in the video description or in the email, and I'll just play the sound effect while you're doing your aggressive drinking, and we'll go from there.
How long the videos?
No limit.
No limit? Okay.
No limit. No limit when it comes to how long the Meanwhile Sononi bit could go. It could be a couple seconds. It could be a whole, like, several minute arc of how long this goes.
Of like a black and white like film taking seriously about this man just opening his fridge to find water.
Like, I haven't done that already.
Exactly.
So there's oh my god, Crazy Orb, if you do a 24-hour one, it better be a proper face reveal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
with voice reveal as well, please.
Voice reveal. We got to hear you say Meanwhile Sononi when it comes to all that. So your best, no limit. Oh my god, Graph's out here.
Oh my god,
TokuTonic Shift stream
that's
length
3 hours. You can't.
You gotta hit the full chug. You gotta just go ahead and poke the bear and do all the cocaine that goes along with that bear.
Oh, he's just having the TokuTonic play in the background while he's pouring the water.
Yeah, it could happen. It could happen. Or you just have a hat guy Kevin back there chugging. Like, so many things. I know people that are going to try and throw themselves into pools. I know people that are going to, like, literally, like, try and film themselves going to the grocery store and, like, snatching up the drinks, which, of course, I did that as well. People trying to throw themselves into lakes and just survive. Just survive the hydration. That's my biggest. Survive the
hydrating.
Wait. Oh, I could use like an old photo of myself because I remember I have like a video of when I dived into like off a cliff into the water. It's pretty cool.
Like, the Meanwhile Sononi thing probably became like my best running joke, and I just want to end in a magnum opus of community involvement, because that's the best way to end things off when it comes to all that. So. So yeah, any last things to say before we go ahead and end this stream? But yeah, the community post will be live tomorrow regarding all that, but you guys are just getting the heads up on it first, so you can go ahead and plan that out.
Time limit.
Time limit on what?
What's the time limit? Submissions.
For the video.
Yeah.
You have until technically the end of May.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, if you want to be featured in my birthday live stream, you have to get it out to me before the 30th. My birthday is the 30th of May. So that's when I'm doing the live stream, in which I will be watching everybody's up to that point Meanwhile Sononi bits live. I would not have watched it beforehand. So please, nothing too risque for the YouTube censors, please. Or else I'll have to, like, migrate over to Twitch and just, like, kill my YouTube channel.
Y'all got 16 days. Get ready.
16 days to plan out a whole Meanwhile Sononi. And the thing is, like, I do it in the matter of like 3 hours of planning out the bit to execution.
You're not going to screen any of these ahead of time? Or not?
I may not. I may ask somebody else to screen them for me.
Yeah.
That way they can at least double check and make sure that they are good to go. That way I can go in with raw feels when I see them in the actual live stream. So, Hey. I'm not a Taurus baby. I'm a Gemini baby. Why do you think I've got so many forms?
No, that's just his last name.
Yeah, that's just my last name. That's true. That is indeed true. All right. So, anything else, guys?
Let's go play some Zelda.
All right. That's it from us. We'll catch you all next week. Hopefully by then we've beaten the game, but if not, then bye.